My name is Harvey Kern. I've been going to Calvary since about 2009 now, and this is my story. I accepted Christ when I was at a young age, when I was about 4 or 5 years old. I remember sitting in the middle of this small Sunday school room in Minneapolis when the pastor's wife looked at us and told each one of us that if we ever wanted to accept Jesus into our lives, all we had to do was just ask him. Didn't matter the time or the place, we could just ask him into our hearts. I chose the booster seat of my parents' pickup on the way back from church one morning. Around 4th grade, we moved from Minneapolis out to Kern, and that's where I spent most of my years growing up. Somewhat as kind of an outcast, just constantly being picked on. And though I went to my parents and would ask them for help on this one, they weren't really able to offer any advice that was of any practical use for me at the time. I learned how to defend myself with my words. If I was picked on, I would simply lash out that way. My only source of relief, where I felt like I could be myself at all, was doing theater, whether it was doing dramas in middle school or through the drama team at our church out in Kern Rapids. And that was how I made it through high school. I wound up going to school at Northwestern, where I studied youth ministry. It was also around that time that I started working with the varsity men's chorus, and I sang with them and really developed my love for singing that still carries with me to this day. And that became one of my sources of joy. And it was around 2009 is when I wound up getting married, and was convinced, like so many others, that that was going to be it for me. I found out that I had not dealt with any of the anger issues that I had developed over the years. And 2013, we separated, and then beginning of 2014 is when she filed for the divorce, and I was left wondering what I was supposed to do after this. Through me just being difficult to deal with, I had friends and family that came alongside, didn't try to change me, didn't try to force my healing. That was the first time that I can recall where I really truly felt accepted. Around that same time that I discovered just 4 years ago that my ex had chosen to remarry, and it absolutely devastated me. I truly believed that that was it. I was so frustrated. I was so frustrated with God that all I wanted to do was walk away, but I couldn't. And when I look at God and look at Christ, all I can think of is this persistent Savior who refused to let me go the entire time. He just had a hold on me, and that was it. No matter how much I fought him at times, he continued to love on me, and others continued to love on me, and they saw me for who I really am. Around just last year, in the middle of 2020, in the midst of a pandemic, God brought someone new into my life, a woman that would turn out to be the very love of my life. I wasn't expecting it, I wasn't prepared, and yet here she came along, and it was just one more example of where God has chosen to redeem something that I thought was irredeemable. When I was right in the middle of all the pain and the hurt, the passage that kept coming to my mind above anything else was this idea of 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. This is not a journey that any of us are meant to do alone. We can't do this alone. And as hard as it was for me to accept, I wasn't and I'm not strong enough to do this stuff by myself. And honestly, that's been one of the most freeing things that I could have ever learned. And I'm so grateful for the fact that I've learned it now. There are other people that I have to rely on and that need to rely on me too. And what a blessing that is.